this series. Imagine a child going to school in the morning who's just had a cola and some sugary snack. The caffeine from the cola, the sugar, is going to cause an excited reaction in the brain. Now the kid can't sit there and pay attention because the brain is hyper agitated, so they're turning and distracted, and they just don't feel good. They almost feel like they have ants in their pants. The teacher, wanting some order in the class, then thinks that the child may have ADD or ADHD, then gets them on Ritalin. No, that child is going to school, as millions are, with the wrong nutrition in their body, and excitotoxic reactions can affect the brain.
The medications that are used to treat ADHD, many of them, some of them are actually amphetamines, which goes by the street name of speed. So in some ways we're putting kids on drugs in order to make them more like other kids and make them more able to fit into a school system which caters to only one type of brain. And then also is these drugs leave open a potential for addiction in later life. And so we're setting up a cascade of problems in addition to all of the effects of telling a suggestible young child that they have something fundamentally wrong with them.
All right, we've learned what's bad, and even though we may think, oh, wow, I can't give those things up, yes, you can, especially since we're going to make it easy. We're going to make a transition, because for everything you're doing that's wrong, I can show you something that will still be able to fill that void that's right. We have to cleanse and detoxify. We have to get this pollution out of our system. And it takes anywhere from, a couple of months to a year and a half to 2 years, depending upon how overweight you are, your age, how many heavy metals from all the things you might have been exposed to in your work environment or smoking. And then we'll get to rejuvenation. That'll come in a few moments. So where do we begin? Well, the easiest thing to do is to have one glass, 12 to 16 ounces a day of an organic vegetable juice. Now you can select the vegetables that you have the best affinity for. But the one that's going to help you if you're overweight, and it really releases all that extra built-up fluid, that edema, is celery and cucumber. Celery and cucumber, equal amounts. Aloe vera, which is enormously powerful healing. There are over 200 different phytonutrients. Phyto are the healing nutrients in plants. And by the way, those phytonutrients also help repair your damaged DNA. But we're going to take celery, cucumber, and apple, all right, and dilute it with maybe 3 to 4 ounces of aloe vera juice. And for some of you, it may still be a little strong. For others, it's just fine. And you can use some spring water if you need otherwise. And then every week, we're going to add 1 juice per day. So week 1, it's 1 juice every day. Then week 2, it's 2 juices. Week 3, 3. And I want you to get up to where you're doing 4 juices a day. At the point where you're drinking 4 glasses of vegetable juice a day, your body is chelating. Chelate comes from the Greek meaning chele. Here's lead, cadmium, mercury. Chelation, it grabs it, takes it out of the body.
Optimization of brain function involves intelligent juicing, whereby vegetables and fruits should be juiced to obtain the phytochemicals. Phytochemicals in plants can be very effective for whole body function, whereby it optimizes the biochemistry of the entire body, detoxifies the body, and thus indirectly detoxifies the brain.
It helps your liver, your kidneys, helps relieve all that constipation. So that's the very first thing we do in cleansing. We also want to add fiber, soluble fibers, insoluble fibers. Now the best fibers are from oat, from beans, from blueberries and strawberries and raspberries and cherries, and apple skins, or Jerusalem artichoke, fennel, anise. These are great fibers. They cleanse, detoxify. For those of you who've had constipation, diverticular conditions, spastic colon, great to have this in you. We want about 50 grams a day of quality fibers in our diet. Great for detoxifying. And it's good to have some fiber before you go to bed at night, and that cleanses overnight. So we're going to juice And we're going to get fiber in the diet, and then we're going to take in some special nutrients. Now, I'm going to go through a list of these nutrients, and here are the nutrients, so write them down. Dandelion, that's good. Burdock root, buckthorn, all the berry juices. In fact, one of the things I suggest, at about week 3, one of the juices you're to have every day is a berry juice. Now, you could do this in a blender. You take blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, cherries and blackberries, and cranberries. Throw them into a blender and drink it down with some vitamin C. Whoa, what a cleansing agent that is. It is so good for you, and it's low in calories. Now, why? Because berries have antioxidants, that's good, but berries also have phytonutrients, that's better. And your red fruit, watermelon, blood oranges, pink grapefruit, papaya, mango, and then all the berries, and even pomegranate. Think of the watermelon, one of the best sources of all, and tomatoes. Tomatoes are a fruit, not a vegetable. The phytonutrients in these have a way to repair our damaged DNA. So the more that you take in, the more damage you repair, the younger you get.
We have to use a rainbow of natural dietary antioxidants by getting a rainbow-colored fruits and vegetables. That means red stuff, yellow stuff, orange stuff, green stuff, indigo stuff, blue stuff. The reality is that you have to have, from blueberries to red raspberries, in a given week, everyone has to eat the rainbow of vegetables and the rainbow of fruits and vegetables because they have so many different antioxidants.
The advent of, jet planes and refrigeration methods that can fly in fresh produce from all over the country, even other parts of the world today. In our supermarkets in America today, we have the availability of salads and all types of vegetables and blueberries and watermelons and things we didn't have available all year in the past. I say it's a blessing that we can actually devise and design a diet style that's richer in nutrients that was even possible in past generations in recent and prior years.
Now, the diet. The diet it's a wonderful diet. It's enormously varied, so much variety. I want you to have a humongous salad every day. Put everything in there. Put endive and put arugula and radicchio and watercress and sprouts of all types. There are over 30 different types of sprouts, from fenugreek to sunflower seed and buckwheat and barley sprouts and radish sprouts. Throw those in there. Steam lightly, then blanch with cold water, asparagus, cauliflower, broccoli, and put that in there because that has phytonutrients that help fight cancer. I want you having a good quality grain, quinoa or brown rice or buckwheat or amaranth or spelt, all the different grains. Go in your health food store and get yourself some grains. It's inexpensive. My diet is inexpensive.
You have to eat whole grains because these are the carbs that are low glycemic. That is, they stick to your ribs, they release the sugar slowly, and you get the value of the glucose over a longer period of time.
I want you to have 2 servings a day of beans, 2 to 3. A cup of beans like black beans, navy beans, pink beans, aduki beans. This is high quality protein. You get complete amino acids. That's right, complete. I was the one who did the research at the Institute of Applied Biology that showed that all the grains and legumes, the beans, have complete protein, just like animal protein, but you don't have to go to all that expense. And they're not toxic. They're helpful because they got B complex and fiber and good oils, which are good for your system. Then we want starchy vegetables. That's right, the good carbohydrates. We want rutabaga and parsnips. We want baked potatoes. They're great for you. But a French fry is not good. Baked potatoes have alpha lipoic acid, one of the best antioxidant nutrients in the world for you. And I also want you having walnuts, almonds, pine nuts, raw pistachios. I want you having these good quality nuts because the oils in these nuts protect your heart.
Nuts and seeds are foods that contain beneficial fatty acids, lignins, and antioxidants. They're rich in minerals. They're very excellent for brain function. And I believe pretty strongly that we're a species that are designed to be eating natural nuts and seeds. Because even the studies on men in heart disease show dramatic effects of people who eat nuts, who eat raw nuts and seeds on a regular basis.
Remember, good oils turn off inflammation. And one of the most important oils in the world to have each day is organic raw coconut oil. Now you can take a teaspoon and put it in your health drink in the morning. That's going to help your heart. It's going to help turn off inflammation in your arteries. It's going to help turn off inflammation in your joints. It's going to help you turn off inflammation in your muscles from fibromyalgia. But you can cook with coconut oil, because coconut oil, macadamia oil, and very important but almost never used by people in our society is mustard seed oil. Mustard, macadamia, and coconut oil are the three oils you should cook with. Olive oil, flaxseed oil, oil of primrose are the oils that you should put on your salads. So now we're going to have a wonderful hot grains in the morning, or a protein drink. A great way to start the day is with a protein drink. Throw those berries in the blender. Then put a little bit of vitamin C and put some flaxseed oil in there. That's good for your whole system. And then put in some coconut oil and put in 1 or 2 scoops of high quality rice protein or soy protein. Then put in some rice milk, because we're giving up milk, but we're not giving up what looks like milk, tastes like milk, and comes in cheeses, ice cream, and milk, and that is rice milk. Rice milk or soy milk or almond milk. Go into your health food store. It's a wonderful experience to see these things. But they don't have the cholesterol, 0 cholesterol, no saturated fats, no hormones, no antibiotics or pesticide residues, just good, wholesome, healthy beverage. So then you make yourself a big protein shake, and you got your fibers, your protein, your essential fatty acids. You have what will help the body rejuvenate and cleanse and detoxify. Now that is important that you do, and watch the difference. You're going to lose weight. Why? Because when you give up foods you're allergic to, boom, the weight comes off. The weight comes off when you give up foods you're allergic to. I've had people who've tried every diet. They lose weight, gain it back, lose and gain it back. And then I tell them, give up bread, give up wheat for a week. Give up dairy for a week. Give up meat for a week, and what happens? Weight comes off, and it stays off.
The first priority in optimizing brain function in regard to food is to eliminate any foods that are targeting the brain as an allergic target. The most commonly allergic and the most destructive foods are wheat and dairy. Close up next would be sugar, corn, beef, eggs. We know that if food can affect the skin, you have eczema, lungs, asthma. The brain can be severely affected by brain fog, which goes undiagnosed. As the foods that cause the brain fog are eliminated from the diet, the brain fog clearly diminishes and may even totally remit.
So now you can have Essene bread, that's E-S-S-E-N-E, old Essene bread. It's a living bread, it's healthy. You can have hummus and baba ganoush. We can have sesame seeds. We can have all these things. Think of the diet. There's over 1,000 cookbooks out there that you can select items from to help you in your journey.
One of the things that amazes me is that in mainstream medicine, what the body is being fed, what the body and the mind is being fed, is not really considered. When you think about plants, it's obvious. Sun and water and good soil and nutrients in the soil are obvious ingredients for the health of a plant. Why is this not the same when we're talking about humans?
Next, rejuvenation. Now we're cleansing, chelating, getting the toxins out. Now we want to rebuild the cells. We want to actually reverse the aging of these brain cells. Here's what we do. Here's the superstars of rejuvenation. Number 1 on our list, carnosine. Carnosine helps protect the telomeres and the chromosomes, the biological clocks. It slows them down. So carnosine is a rejuvenator, all right, of the brain. Very important. And lycopene. Lycopene is not only helping the brain, but also the eyes, too, for macular degeneration, cataracts, and glaucoma. N-acetylcysteine. Now, NAC, N-acetylcysteine, will break down and become glutathione. And glutathione is the nutrient that protects your brain, but also it's a carrier. It attaches to toxins and takes them out of the liver. So for those of you who've had any kind of liver problem, it's a great detoxifier, glutathione. And NAC, when you take it, at 500 to 2,000 milligrams, it really detoxifies, but it also is one of our rejuvenators. Milk thistle, rejuvenation of the liver. Bromelain, helping us. Digestive enzymes. These start to reconnect, literally reconnect, rejuvenate your brain cell. That's what's possible. And when you take good digestive enzymes with a meal and you eat less food, and when you rest and you deal with stress appropriately, drinking, smoking, tranquilizers, drugs, gambling, shopping, this is no good way to deal with stress. Focus upon how you can deal with stress in a calm, non-destructive way. When you deal with stress, you bring down cortisol. And one of the worst things you can do for your brain is cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone. And the higher the cortisol level, the worse it is for your brain. So we don't want this killer hormone escalated all the time.
Modern living is tremendously stressful. So what are we doing to counteract the effects of that stress on our brains and on our bodies?
An example of using your control to moderate the level of stress would be a simple example of a person who was in a relationship that was very important, and they had expectations that that relationship would be for the rest of their life. And if that relationship ended, a person could be profoundly stressed. They might become depressed. They might feel hopeless. And we know that all of those interpretations and responses are going to have negative impacts on the brain. Whereas if we were to reframe that differently and to say to ourselves, for example, I'm leaving that relationship because it was too small for me, or I'm too big for that person, it's going to affect the very transmitters that have a profound impact on our mental health, our sense of well-being, our immunity, and of course directly our health.
Sometimes people have toxic relationships where people are abusive and they need to get away from them, but often other relationships are just frustrating. They're causing some tension. And when people are highly self-absorbed, they overreact to their own pain. And they will destroy relationships that are sad. They shouldn't have been destroyed, and they are left alone in the world. And we know one of the strongest correlates there is for depression and unhappiness is loneliness. It's lack of any kind of social support. It's lack of any kind of community.
We're in the middle of what you could say is a triple epidemic. We have massive amounts of people who are suffering from anxiety, depression, and or addiction, many of them from all three.
I think it's real important for people to understand that no biochemical marker, no chemical imbalance, no EEG, no brain scan can be used to diagnose any kind of so-called mental illness or mental disorder. Historically, 99% of human history, children were not raised by one parent. They were not even raised by simply two parents. There was an extended family, there was community. How is that important as an antidote against depression? Probably the most important antidote you can have is to have one person in your life who you feel really cares about you, who really understands you, who you really respect.
One thing we know is that we have increases in serotonin in any sort of attachment, whether it be a mother-child or close connections. We have a boost of serotonin, and as you can imagine, it's a strong impetus, or actually also in endorphins. That's an impetus for us to connect, to protect our children, to bond with our children, to connect with other people, because it makes us feel good. And one study showed that if you give morphine, which is sort of a medical replacement for endorphins, to monkeys, they will actually be impairments in their bonding with their infants. And what this shows is because they weren't getting the natural endorphins, they already had the high, so they didn't need to take care of their kids in order to get it.
We have lots of research, for example, that shows people who have lots of supportive relationships are going to be less depressed. People who exercise a lot, physical activity is a far better antidote than any kind of medication. Lots of research on those kinds of things. People who think more positively, who less catastrophize negative events, who less exaggerate negative events, you know, those people are going to be happier people. So there's a lot of specifics that people can do. Unfortunately, what happens is people get so down in the dumps, they become so immobilized, so demoralized that they can't do those things. And so that's a lot of what people need to be caring about a lot more, of like, how do you help people get their morale back? How do you help people heal so they can act on what they know what to do?
In terms of lifestyle, it's very clear that stress level can produce all kinds of conditions. So the individual cannot reduce the complete stress of modern living, but whatever the individual can do to cut down the stress in that individual's life is important in terms of alleviating the weight on the brain.
Otherwise, it's like every 5 minutes, a 5-alarm fire alarm goes off in your brain. That's what it is to always be stressed or anxious or fearful. So turn off the stress. Select something healthy and positive to de-stress. Turn off the stress hormones.
Well, when I think about the most significant development in memory and what some of the current research is pointing to is the fact that for a lot of people, if they're under chronic stress and they elevate a hormone called cortisol and they deplete a building block hormone called DHEA, which is responsible for building a lot of different hormones in the body, the more cortisol and the less DHEA you have, the more prone you are for loss of cognitive function and memory.
It's interesting, as the baby boomer generation starts to get older and more of us are getting into that population, that we're also beginning to find that in this time of life we feel that our neurological systems, our brains aren't working up to the fullest capacity, that we feel that our memories are sometimes not working as well, and that our lives are just not working in the fullest capacity. And we have a tendency to think, is this a consequence of brain degeneration? For originally we were all told that we get all our brain cells early and then the brain starts to degenerate with age, and that this degeneration is a normal consequence of age. Well, interestingly enough, that is a belief system that has been found to be incorrect as well.
So when you start a healing process, it works this way. The nutrients you're taking, all those phytonutrients, they're going in there. When you eat your watermelon, it's going in there. When you juice, it's even more powerful. It's going in, helping to repair the damaged DNA. In time, you're repairing the damage, you're stopping the damage, you're trapping the free radicals with the antioxidants. You're nourishing yourself, but you're not eating junk food, processed food, denatured food. We're overfed and undernourished. Now you're feeding yourself what you really need. You're going to lose weight, and you're going to stimulate with your exercise in this diet. You're going to stimulate human growth hormone. You're going to get your muscle mass back. You're going to burn fat. Your brain is going to come back to a sense of clarity. And then whether it's Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia, forgetfulness, no matter whether you're 35 or 85, you're going to feel a whole lot better because the mitochondria, the energy, is going to be there. And what's the energy going to come from? Coenzyme Q10, carnosine, acetyl L-carnitine. Yes, that's going to energize the mitochondria. And when you energize the mitochondria, whether it's the mitochondria of the heart, it's going to beat healthier, or the brain, it's the energy that drives it. Because what's missing when you get older? Energy. What don't you have when you're sick? Energy. What's the only thing missing when you're dead? Energy. So we're bringing energy back into our system by what we eat and what we don't eat, what we drink and don't drink. Stop the coffee, stop the soft drinks, stop the tap water. Start being aware that everything that you do is cause and effect. Everything. What you think, you become. Think positive thoughts. Believe in yourself. Believe that you can reverse disease, and you will. Believe that you can take degenerative conditions and improve them, and you will.
People don't have to get older and get demented. You don't have to have a stroke and live in a nursing home. I'm all for people taking full charge of health, their own health in their own hands. In other words, true health care, or the best health care, is self-care. You've got to take great care of your body now while you have your good health. So do all the right things you can. You'll be really happy you did as you get older.
I can't show you everything that's needed in the limits of this program, but I hope that you've seen some of the causes and the steps to be taken. This is just the beginning, not the end. It's the end of this program, but it's the beginning of the most healthy part of your life.